Two men journey to the bars and restaurants of Scandinavia to find amazing beers, always with the same question.
Hey, what's on tap?
It's time to find out.
Welcome to What's on Tap podcast. We are once again back. I am Stefan.
Je suis Martin.
Yes, and we will be drinking Bières de Française.
Bières de Française. I went into French, even though you brought both of the beers. I had no right stealing the reveal.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I appreciate that because I would have never gotten there on my own. So what we have is I was in France, south of France, very, very south of France, along the Pyrenees. And when I was there, I was like, well, I'm going to pick up some beers along the way because these will be breweries that are not getting exported, probably some interesting microbreweries, and overall just, could be some fun finds in the lot.
And I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Exactly. I would say overall, the south of France is known for its wine production and not for its beer production, and there is a good reason for that. But today we have two beers that have the potential to be quite interesting and quite fun, but we'll have to see what we get. The first beer up is from the Taro series. It's called La Force.
I love the fact that you say from the Taro series, like everyone should know what brewery makes the Taro series.
Right. Well, it's from Hoppy Road. Hoppy Road seems to have the ambition to export to a larger masses. So the Taro series is a series that they create that is, I believe, IPAs or double IPAs that are all based around tarot cards. I'm not sure what La Force means or what it has to do with the Taro series. And based on the French I do not understand, there's probably something in there that tells me what that is. But it has Talus, Laurel, and Equinox hops. It comes in at a 6.5% ABV. And I love the can, and that's why I picked it up, because it looked like a lot of fun. Yep. It's a black can with kind of a nice tarot card kind of setting about it. And it got a decent ratings. So
I think it's going to be good. We need to mention that I googled the city name, village name. It's quite far to the north.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was bought in the south of France, and that's what's really important.
So it was bought in the south of France. So that's all that really matters.
Yes.
Is that that's where it was found.
Yeah. I just don't want our listeners to go nagging.
Yeah. So Hoppy Road, I like the name of the brewery. It's pretty good, and hopefully, maybe if this is really good, we enjoy it, we'll see some exports coming soon because it feels like they have the ambition to export. They've got the fun labels, they've got the cans, they've got the fun name. It feels like they're in that market to push beyond the borders of Française.
Agreed.
Okay, well let's dig into this one. It's a very hazy IPA by definition, almost.
Very
IPA.
Very floral, perfumey nose.
Now, probably the Equinox. Yeah. Bringing that out.
Allons enfants de la patrie.
Yeah, a little perfumey in the mouthfeel, and the what do you call it? The effervescence of it, not effervescence, but
the flavor.
Well, when you breathe in and you smell through the nose and everything, it gives this kind of slightly floral, perfumey kind of experience.
Yes, and the taste dissipates quite quickly.
It is very dry. It has a very clean, dry finish to it.
It looks really nice. Very yellow. Almost not going towards orange. It's very light.
Almost not going towards orange.
Yes. Patent pending on that.
Yeah, I love that descriptor. That might be one of my favorites. Almost not going towards orange. It was thinking about it, but at the last minute went.
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Almost not going towards orange, meaning blue.
Exactly. We decided to go red instead.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really pleasant, very easy to drink. You said there's no bitter finish. It's very dry. Almost reminds me of kind of like a table beer in that way, like a saison kind of.
Yeah.
In the slightly bitter finish, but overall, I would give this a thumbs up.
It's too it's not a defective or bad beer, but it's too perfumey. I'm surprised that this is that they call this a New England IPA.
Well, because they're not using New Zealand hops or something that makes it more,
they don't have
that makes it more fruity.
You don't have to use New Zealand hops for New England IPA, but when it's this perfumey, it kind of differs a lot from other IPAs of the same style.
Yeah.
So when I go to pick up a New England IPA off the shelves, I'm not expecting perfumey.
Well,
I could analyze the hops, but when I hear Equinox, I don't automatically associate it with mega
so
perfume.
the problem is I'm not familiar enough with Talus and Laurel hops to really know what those are. So I can only assume that this combination, this triad of hops, is giving this more. There's an HBC 472.
Oh, I love when they use experimental hops.
I should have mentioned that to begin with. But I think that is what's giving this a different hop profile and different flavor profile, which I quite like. I like the more of the subtle, drier nature of this, to where it's not just a tropical fruit bomb. I think they've done a really nice job with this beer.
It is pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the hop profile isn't where you want it to be. I get that.
Yeah. Because traditionally I want bitter IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
And then New England IPAs come on the scene and they go, ha ha ha, you don't get bitterness, you get sweetness and tropical fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've accepted that. But now this one comes and says, haha, you don't get either. You don't get bitterness, you don't get tropical fruit. You get floral, herbal perfume.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I go, maybe that's not actually what I want from an IPA. I've accepted the evolution of IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe this is where we shouldn't go. That doesn't mean that it's a bad beer.
No, I think this is a really nice combination, and I find it interesting and challenging, but very drinkable at the same time. I'm going to give it a 4. I think it's quite nice.
3.75 for me, maybe even on the weaker side, but I won't round it down.
I find this 4 on the stronger side. I could even go a little higher on this one.
I think this is where we differ more than we usually do.
Well, I think some of us are just more willing to accept different hop profiles and allow ourselves to be challenged in our prejudices.
Yeah.
And some of us just like to sit back in our comfy warm sweaters and not be challenged by anything in the world.
And just drink heavy imperial stouts.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So next is from a brewery, and this is quite I would say unique in the fact that it is made in Biarritz, France, by a guy that only brews in his free time and releases them to a couple of shops in Biarritz. And if you don't live in the town, you will never find these beers. So this is what you would call a hyper local beer, and it is called La Biarrote Corsaire. And this is an Imperial IPA. It comes in at 8.5.
Ooh.
Wow, its best before date is January 12th, 2025.
Oof.
I think he's way overestimating that.
Yeah.
But this guy, the story that I was told was he only brews a few beers and he does it like a couple of times a year, and he puts them out in the stores, and then he does whatever he does as a full-time job the rest of the time. So not quite unsimilar from a friend of ours.
Yeah.
But our friend has higher ambitions than this.
So this one is more of an orange.
Right. So this one reminds me more of like a West Coast traditional kind of IPA.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting this to be a little more malty, a little more kind of standard IPA, no fruity, bitter backbone, a little malty maybe.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then the nose is...
I do get some sweetness on the nose.
Yeah.
But I also get bitterness.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to like this one.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. This definitely smacks of a microbrewer that is doing well in his market,
Yeah.
but has no ambitions to move outside of that.
No.
This is a perfectly fine beer.
Yes.
It's not great. It's not exceptional. But for a guy that's doing this in his free time and putting out beers, I think this is actually pretty good.
It is. It does have some. It does have some West Coast bitterness. Somewhere in the aftertaste, there's a bitterness that goes more extreme, like an actual Jägermeister bitterness,
Yeah.
or even
Gammeldansk or something like that.
Gammeldansk bitterness, like this.
Like a traditional IPA bitterness. Like the backbone of this is actually so it starts out, it's a little sweet, a little malty, and then it finishes with a really strong bitter backbone.
I definitely agree with that, but that's not the flavor I'm going for. That's the good
Right.
aftertaste. That's the one that goes, this tastes like the old school West Coast IPAs.
Right.
What I really mean is more of like a wormwood bitterness.
Like an absinthe kind of bitter.
Yes, more.
Yeah. That's a pretty harsh bitter. It's like, for me, it's like a Gammeldansk bitter.
Yes, and it only peeks its head a little bit in the aftertaste, and I don't think that's supposed to be there. This very herbal.
I would argue that it is supposed to be there. I think this guy is definitely hitting those herbal notes in this quite hard.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty strong in the aftertaste.
Maybe the main flavor of the aftertaste is this West Coast bitterness that I'm talking about.
So when I first tried it, I was like, this is kind of mediocre. Yeah. But like the more that I think about it, and the more that I reflect on the aftertaste, and like the transition, the journey it takes me from the first taste to the final experience of the aeration on the back of my tongue and everything.
Yep.
I think this is actually a really good beer.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, this is a lot of high qualities on this beer.
Yes. There's another way of looking at it. When it's such a local beer, would I want this brewer to be a local brewer in my city? Of course I would.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Please exist here. You only need to serve this, and you will have your niche.
Yeah.
There'll be people who are craving this flavor, this old school West Coast.
Yeah.
We're not really getting it anymore. There's a place for. I would love for this brewer to only brew in my city and not export anything.
Well, if you live in Biarritz, France, you could have this all the time.
I know.
And I think he makes 4 or 5 different beers.
Yeah.
And this was the highest rated of all of them. And I gotta say, excellent work. I mean, I was expecting this to be a 2.75 to 3.25 at best. Like at best, 3.25.
It's much better than you feared.
Yeah, and my prejudice going in was like, no, this isn't really that good. But now that I've had a few sips on it, I'm like, no, actually, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
this is really nice.
What I mean with my comparison, with my analogy, would you want this brewer to exist here in your city? We've had a lot of lame beers from lame brewers. Where you go, would you want them to move to your town? It's fine.
I'm okay. They can stay where they are.
We already have South Plains, and it's not really affecting my life.
They already have Sibarbs. They're doing fine. Finn's doing quite well.
Finn isn't Malmo.
Isn't it?
No. Finn is way much north in Skåne.
Really? I thought they were here in...
No.
Oh, wow. Pardon me.
But this brewery, I would welcome to Malmo, Sweden with open arms.
No, this guy's done a really good job here. So what would you give this one?
3.75.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this is a very nice upper tier.
Yes.
Not quite in the stratosphere, but the intention is not to be that kind of beer or that kind of brewer. Every day, like you just get this off the shelf, you drink it, you're gonna be very happy.
Yes.
And what was it? It was like 8.5% ABV.
It doesn't taste that strong.
No, it doesn't. It drinks super smooth, which is the dangerous side of things. So yeah, so if you do go to the south of France and you do go to Biarritz for the beaches or the surfing, or just because you want a really nice picture postcard French coast experience, be sure to try to find these beers. They're really, really good.
Oh, it was coastal.
Oh yeah.
Because you went from Andorra into France.
Andorra was towards the end.
I get it.
So I went from Madrid to Bilbao to San Sebastian to Biarritz.
Of course, that's all coastal. And then you went from the coast inwards to Andorra.
Yeah.
I thought you went from Spain to Andorra to France, which would put you not near the coast.
No, it would be the opposite.
Now I get it.
So it was backwards version of that.
So it's on the west coast of France.
Yes.
Which makes sense that he will make a West Coast IPA.
Sure. We'll go with that. Yeah. A West Coast French IPA.
Yes.
It's a new style.
Yes.
Much like cold IPA, it's a West Coast French IPA.
Yeah. But these were good. I'm glad you went to France.
Me too, and surprisingly good. Yeah. I have to tell you, I tried many beers from the south of France, and it was a real crapshoot. It went from bad to average for the most part. So these were really two big surprises that I'm really glad we were able to find.
Yeah. I mean, in the larger craft beer world, France isn't really known for a lot.
No.
Popin, Piggy,
yeah.
And maybe Café de Grand Paris. But that's just because they went to a few beer festivals in Sweden.
I'm sure there are other French breweries that export, but I just can't think of anybody else at the time.
La Débauche.
Yeah.
Which I know through stouts and basically nothing else.
Well, the problem is some of these breweries, I get confused. Are they French? Are they Swiss?
Belgian?
Are they Belgian?
Yeah.
You know, because there's some of them like, oh, this is a French brewery. It's like, oh, no, they're Swiss.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but they're so good. All right. Well, you can find us online at what'sontappodcast.com, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and in the greater podcast world at large. So until next time.
Keep drinking, you dum-dums.